How's it going?
Alright, what's going on everyone? My name is Deontay, but you can call me Emperor. Now, as you can see, we have a basic gameplay guide for EO today. EO is very easy to utilize in this game, and she is extremely useful in both the early game and in-game. She's also a very good ranged character with the overall damage potential of her ranged attacks, and then the amount of utility she has in her skill set. What I'll be going over is the current loadout I have on her. Then I'll go over her basic gameplay on the practice dummy. Then we'll go over the skills and what I recommend using. Afterwards, I'll go over my recommended sigils along with my build being used on the practice dummy once again. And then finally, we'll use my build on the fire dragon as a little showcase. So let's go ahead and get it started. Now, let's quickly go through my sigils. And this is also what her overmastery looks like. Ideally, you would want to have a skill damage up besides this skybound art damage up that I have. But this is a perfect overmastery aside from my skybound art damage up being there, so I'm not too pressed about it. But ideally, you would want to have a skill damage up and then a skybound art damage up on the Now then, the usual. I'm going to switch out my weapon and take off all my sigils so I can go over a gameplay. Obviously, you can tell that EO is a mage in this game, so she is primarily based around ranged attacks. So this is what her light looks like. Something like that. And then this is what her heavy looks like. And you will see that holding it down, you'll see this interface come up on the right side, and there's 4 stages to this, but I'll be going over that in a moment. And that's what happens when you release it. Her light attack you can hold and release as well, like that, and you gain a mystic vortex. And what that buff does, you probably already seen it on the right side, but it pretty much allows her to enhance her stargaze, which is her heavy attack. So doing her light attack again when I hold it down, that's 3. And then the final time will max it out. Once you have all 4, you can charge this all the way up to 4 stages.
This should do it. Got more where that came from. This'll hurt.
And then that happens when you release. The charge is very slow normally, but there is a way to make it much faster without the use of sigils. So going back with her light attacks where I hold it down, but when I get to the final stage, I'll immediately use my heavy and hold it down. And you'll see it goes up a lot faster.
You'll feel this one. This'll
Like so. And that's not only for stage 4, that's for any stage. When you use your heavy right after a mystic vortex popping up, the speed goes up drastically. No, that's pretty much as basic as it can get for her. So let's go ahead and go to her skills. Now then, her first skill is Healing Winds, which is a healing skill. The main difference between hers and a few others on the roster is that EO's healing skill is over time instead of like a instant thing. So as long as you're within the circle, you will gain heals. And this is very useful in the early game. Now then, her first damage skill, Freeze. This skill pretty much allows EO to dash away. On top of that, of course, it does a fair amount of damage, and then you gain a Mystic Vortex, which is pretty much what we would usually do with our light attack when we hold it down. So you can get it instantly if you use the skill, pretty much. And that counts for a lot more damage skills in here. This also debuffs the enemy for their attack by 10%. So this is a very useful skill. early game and end game for this one. Now then, we have a debuff skill, Lightning, and pretty much she can cast this circle, and once it lands on the enemy, it inflicts them with paralysis. And what I like about hers, as opposed to like someone like Zeta, she can use this from afar. So let's say if the enemy is like very far away and is about to go into overdrive or something like that, and they're about to use their ability, you can just cast this on them immediately, and you don't really have to get close up on them to paralyze them. And then of course, same thing with freeze, you gain a mystic vortex when you cast this. I will say this skill right here is extremely important in in-game because paralysis is very good against bosses. Now, gravity well, this is another damage skill, and this one just constantly deals damage in this circle. And this is one of those skills that I would highly recommend to have, especially in the early game. I wouldn't recommend using this at all for like bosses in game, but in early game, this is very important for crowd control. Now, here's another damage skill right here, fire. You can debuff the enemy with defensive down about 10%. And then of course you get a mystic vortex orb when you cast it. And I recommend using this skill both early game and end game. Now, she has this buff skill right here called concentration, and it gives her a lot of benefits. So she can get debuff immunity, she can have focused, which is a buff for EO that pretty much allows her charge speed to be boosted all the way through. So essentially you don't have to do the thing where you do a light attack when you hold it down and then you instantly go into your heavy. Having focused on means that you pretty much don't have to go through that entire rotation at all. She also gets stout heart from this as well, which is pretty much allowing her not to get interrupted doing character actions. And then obviously with EO, she has to hold down the heavy button for quite some time. It's a pretty good addition, I will say. I can't really recommend this for both early game and end game, to be honest. Although I do see people using it from time to time, I can't really recommend it. I will only recommend it if you are absolutely sure that your team can pretty much keep aggro on the enemies at all times when you have this skill on. Now, we have this damage skill, Flowery 7. This skill is a little bit more different than the other damage ones because this one you actually need to hold down for quite some time to get the full potential out of it. As you can see, these petals spawn in right here, obviously for the shape of a flower. And once you get all 7, you get the full damage potential. But the cool thing about this is it works the same way you would for your regular charge attacks with your heavy. So let's say if you use your light attack and hold it down and then you get that mystic vortex, you can use the skill immediately and you will charge it a hell of a lot faster. This skill right here is amazing for damage. This is her highest damage skill by far. Like, this does a lot. I personally believe, like, damage wise, if you're going for all out damage on EO, this is a must have on her. And then you have a skill, Mystic Vortex, which maxes out your Mystic Vortex orbs. It's a pretty good skill, but I can't recommend it because we already get up to stage 4 fast enough. So having a skill on won't really benefit us at all because we have many of the skills in her loadout that can pretty much give her Mystic Vortex orbs anyways, while also dishing out damage. I pretty much don't use this skill right here at all because it's not really needed. Now, this is the setup I usually always have on when I play EO. I'll use her freeze, her fire, Flowery 7, and then lightning. So essentially 3 damage skills and 1 debuff. Every now and then I might switch out freeze for gravity well, depending on what I'm playing. But the rest of these 3 down here, they usually stay the same. Unless I'm fighting a boss that can't be paralyzed, then I'll switch lightning out. Now then, let's quickly go over what I recommend on EO. Starting at the bottom of the list, her personal sigils. Mage's Aspiration and Warpath, pretty damn important. Aspiration, not so much. I mean, this essentially shortens her charge time, so it's pretty damn useful, but it's not as good as the Warpath. The Warpath is what makes her insane when it comes to damage, because you can see right here, not only does it give her enhanced damage for 15 seconds, but you have a 50-50 chance to not consume Mystic Vortex Orbs at all. So let's say if you win this 50-50 chance, not only do you not consume the Vortex Orbs, but you also get focused. So that essentially means when you do like a stage 4 heavy attack with her Stargaze, if you manage to win this 50-50 chance, you can just use it again and again and again and again. Pretty damn insane to have on a character like this. I recommend getting this at all costs once you get the end game. Now then, utility wise, I would recommend having a quick cooldown or cascade, or you can be like me and have both, but they will help a lot with your cooldowns, especially with Flowery 7. You can also have Nimble Onslaught and Improved Dodge if you want for a little more starability. That's what I do. And then a really important one is Quick Charge. This decreases the charge time on her heavy attacks. Essentially the same thing what Aspiration is doing, so this is pretty damn useful as well. Like very useful. I recommend having this one at all costs as well. On my weapon, I do have auto revive and low profile for survivability. Low profile is pretty damn important, to me at least, when I play online with her. You know, just in case, you know, you don't want to get targeted as much. I kind of find it useful when I play online with people. Now, one thing can be interchangeable, like the stuff I have with Stamina and Tyranny and like Nimble Onslaught. You could switch any of those out with Glass Cannon. And Glass Cannon pretty much gives you a really high damage boost, but you get dizzy for like a full 4 to 5 seconds whenever you get hit. It's a pretty high risk sigil to have on her, but she is a ranged character, so I will see why you could use it. I just choose not to. The damage increase that I would get from it would be pretty damn good, but I value my survivability a lot more than that. But if you want to go all out on damage, then yeah, go ahead and try to get Glass Cannon on your sigils. You would benefit from having Glass Cannon on by an insane amount damage wise. I just choose not to. Now, let's go ahead and go back to this practice dummy. So, essentially, I would just do the same thing I did from before, but all I'm doing now is just adding a few skills in the middle of building up the Mystic Vortex.
Fire! This'll hurt! You're not getting away! Almost there! To my specialty!
And you see focus right there, so I'll just go ahead and use it again. And I got it again, so I'll just use Stargaze once more. And you don't even have to do that if you don't want to. So if I get focused right here, I could just chain this with Flowery 7, just like so. And that also works well. And yeah, you can see how having that Warpath on is pretty damn insane to have. But yeah, EO is pretty damn insane damage wise when you have her Warpath sigil on. That's essentially how I would play her in the most basic way possible. So aside from that, let's go ahead and fight this fire dragon. Alright, let's get this started. Yeah,
Leave it to me.
that can absolutely happen.
Ready for pain?
Flowery 7 is very, very powerful.
Feel this one. I burn you up. Yeah, yeah. Almost there. Or where that came from. I can do this. Thought you'll feel this one. Thought you had me. Almost there. Is the air crackling? This is it. Let me show you how it's done. Go Gales, surf forward! Ice. Here it goes. Get him. Watch out! Look out! Oh no!
I got hit right there.
Fire! I can do this! Better stay where that came from! This is our big break! Now how's that feel? I'll burn you up! Ready for pain? You'll feel this one!
And there you go. But yeah, I actually saw earlier with Flowery 7. With a boss like this, it can absolutely break through that gauge pretty much instantly.
Yeah, we did it!
It's kind of insane that she can do that. All right. And that's pretty much the end of today's video. As I said before, EO is pretty simple to play, and you get a lot of benefits from playing her in this game. That aside, I'm not too sure yet, but I'll attempt to have more of the base roster as a god first, as opposed to the characters you unlock later in this game. Anyways, I hope you all have a good day or night, depending on the time you're seeing this video, and I'll catch you all later.